welcome back to the Woods Collab podcast. So you have myself here. I'm Nikisha Woods. This guy right here is Mike Woods. And we are here to talk to you today about mindset. So if you've listened to any of our podcasts in the past, we've basically been talking about mindset this entire time, right? And so we're going to call it out. But before we dive too far into what we're going to talk about today, we are going to ask that you subscribe, like, and comment so that you can hear the latest from the Woods Collab podcast. All right, so there's a quote that I love to say when it comes to mindset, and it's when you change your mindset, you change the world around you. And in my opinion, Mike, mindset is so important, it can control time. So my theory on that is, you know how when you're in a situation and it's boring or it's uncomfortable, it seems like time is like super slow. But when you're in a situation where you're having the time of your life and you're really energized by it and you're loving every second of it, time goes really fast.
Yeah.
The only thing that really changes in those situations is how you think about it and your mindset around it. And so I like to say that it's so powerful that it can control time. So I know that you've had some moments in your life where you've had to readjust and check your mindset throughout your life and your career. So what are some of the thoughts you have around those things?
Yeah, mindset is very important. It's very important. It's something that we can easily lose sight of if we're just going with the flow. But there's a lot of value if we do become aware of it and even invest in it. So even when we think about just going back to how we start our days. It's like when we start our days, it's like, okay, cool. Maybe it's prayer, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's just sitting quietly in a room. It could be music, whatever the case may be.
Gratitude, can I add that one?
It could definitely gratitude. How we start our day with, like how being intentional with that, being intentional of the needs from a mental state as far as what's gonna set us up for success for the day. So mindset is very important. Even sometimes when we're going to accomplish a task, it's one thing about just doing it, and it's another thing to say, okay, let me take a pause. Maybe I'm going to close my eyes for a moment. Maybe I'm going to think about what I'm about to do and how I'm about to really crush this thing.
Yeah.
So mindset is very important. It's another one of those things that we could use to our advantage depending on what we have going on. And it could be a chill day. But what are you first starting off to start your day with?
Yeah.
That's very important. I'm a fan. I don't do it every day, but the times where I do it, where I'm taking that moment before I start, it works. It kind of is like that. It's like a calming, it offers a component of being calm and just ready for what you're about to go accomplish. So taking that pause, so it's great. So there's been a couple scenarios for me where the mindset is important. I know we're gonna get into talking about that growth versus fixed mindset. So shout out to Carol Dweck, and who kind of brought a lot of that to the table from growth versus fixed mindset. But for me, I had a couple scenarios, especially in a personal and a professional scale, where I had to change my mindset in order to really accomplish the thing that I want to accomplish. So like first, we going straight into it?
We got it.
Going for it. So the first scenario is like we talk about our, a lot about leadership journeys and our leadership paths, what we do to sustain in that space, what we've done in order to get into that space. So I had a few different leadership stints, and I'm thinking about the first time where I got into an actual formal leadership role for a firm. I had growth mindset without even knowing it. I was very hungry. I was looking to learn everything I could, connecting with people. I know that we had talked about networking and that sort of thing. Had some good networks. Went out for opportunities. I was going out seeking things, putting myself out there. I was branding myself and that sort of thing. Leadership opportunity came as a result of that. Got into that space for a while. And then by the time I moved organizations, I had a pattern and insight and perspective of what leadership was from when I had that growth mindset. So it came to a point where that mindset, even though I did switch roles, my mindset had shifted because my experience was a lot different. So one, I was hungry because of this first time experience. On this other scale, I was hungry for a new experience, but I had, to a point, I had my ways, I had my perspective. So one of the things I had to do is first I had to learn that my old perspective would not work in the new situation I was in. So being in a new organization, the culture was a lot different. The way business was done was a lot different. The way I perceived things is the way that I was perceived was a lot different. So I couldn't take the mindset that I had from before to this new opportunity. So what happened is there's a few opportunities that I went for and I didn't get them.
It's like, whoa.
I like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you decline me? How dare you decline me? And some of those opportunities were ones that I thought I was qualified for. I thought I was qualified for those things. So, but one of the things I had to do is that I had to change my perspective, my approach, and my mindset in order to accomplish that thing. Now, rest assured, I did it and we finally got there, but I couldn't approach things the same way. I had to stop and say, wait a second, this organization is a lot different. Those that I'm dealing with are different than those that I dealt with before. I'm wired different now. I'm not the same person. I have a little bit more experience here, but I need to change some things about myself. So what I had to do is I had to start to really change the way I saw things. So I might say, hey, you know what? This person is looking for this over here. I had to stop and say, well, let me look at it from that lens as well. And when I started to look at things from a different lens, I was able to see some opportunities in myself. I was able to tweak those opportunities, and then rest assured, goal was accomplished of getting back into that leadership space. And I was able to do some things on an organizational level that were pretty phenomenal. And a lot of that came with because I had to really change my mindset. I had to change the way I was going about my business.
So do you feel like when those opportunities took place that it was a hit to your confidence at all? Or do you feel like you were still confident, you just had to readjust how you approached it? Like which one do you think it was?
I love that question. I appreciate that. As I look back on it, it may have been a hit on confidence. Maybe a slight hit. Yes, it was for a moment, because you in that moment where you get that denial, it's I still had confidence, but it probably took it definitely took a shot. It definitely took a shot. But with that, even immediately after that, so as I had to change that approach, it wasn't an immediate thing, because I had to go through a process where when I got those denials, I had to deal with myself first. Because at one instance, it's like, y'all missed out on this one. It's like y'all missed out on this one. Y'all, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I disagree with it. But then after I got over that, because sometimes you have to have that moment. Sometimes you gotta vent. You gotta get that out, and you gotta think about, hey, this is unfair. This ain't right. All that good stuff. But then it's like that doesn't change anything. That doesn't do anything to change the narrative. That's actually probably sending me down a path that I didn't want to go. So then when it came back down to it, I said, okay, the goal. We always talk about those goals and how that's an anchor. My goal was still the same, because I knew for a fact I could still make a strong contribution in the leadership space. I knew it. I knew it without a shadow of a doubt. I still believed that. The goal was still there. So even though that denial came, and then another denial came, and probably another one after that, the goal was exactly the same. The goal didn't change. But in that, I had to say, okay, let me change my approach. Even my approach then, it was like, okay, I want this specific leadership opportunity. I changed my mindset from I want this specific opportunity for me and my goals. I said, let me go after the skills that I believe should be associated with this opportunity. So it moved from seeking this specific title and position to seeking the skill set. So I went from looking at title and position, to the skill set. So when I start to look at the skill set that's where things start to change. I start to
Mm-hmm.
look at the skill set. I say, okay, in my opinion, strong leader, even though I had leadership experience before, strong leader has strong written and verbal communication skills. So I started to pay more attention to the written and verbal communication skills. Strong leader has ability to connect with people. So I started to tap more into the opportunity to connect with people. Strong leader is a person that executes, get things done, meets deadline. So I had to tap into that piece. Let me make sure I'm doing that. And then over time, as I changed that mindset and got more reps and practice with that particular mindset, the opportunities start to then knock on my door.
Yeah.
But that mindset shift was cool and it was very key in that whole process.
Yeah, and it sounds like there were things that impacted your confidence, which sometimes can push us from the growth back to the fixed mindset, back to the growth mindset. And there's just different things and twists and turns. And so I think that mindset is something that you constantly have to check, right? And I liked how you talked about starting your day intentionally with whether it's prayer, meditation, gratitude, exercise, good nutrition, whatever that is that you need for yourself in order to have a good start with your mindset, but then also making sure that you're doing whatever you have to do to consistently have a strong mindset, even though there may be things or obstacles that come your way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been talking about it already, but we'll talk about it a little bit more when we talk about growth versus fixed mindset. And so growth mindset is really where we want to be, right? We really want our mindset to be in a space where it's growing in a manner that's productive and it's not stagnant or it's not stuck and fixed on the things we cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
And so specifically when you think about growth mindset, failure can be growth.
For sure.
Right? And so I remember when I went back into leadership, it was for me, the thought was not that I can't fail, not that I won't fail, but what am I going to fail at?
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going to jack something up. Didn't know what it was.
We always do.
We always do. But I was ready for whatever mistake I was going to make because I guarantee you I wouldn't make that mistake again.
Right.
And I was going to be better for it. And so I had that awareness where that growth mindset lives. Where on the flip side of it, if you live in that fixed mindset, it's that thought that you can't make mistakes. Or if you make a mistake, it's going to limit your ability to thrive or move forward or get opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where a lot of people hide their mistakes, or they can't be vulnerable enough to say, you know what, this didn't go well. How can I get better? How can I move forward? And so you can think of that when you think of growth versus fixed mindset. You can also think about how you experience other people. And so are you rooting for people in that growth mindset and you're proud of other successes and you're like, yes, I want you to win, I want you to succeed? Or do you feel envious of it? Are you so concerned with their experience and their ability to win at something that you're starting to second guess yourself? And so, I got a quote. Sometimes you use my quotes against me. But your journey will never be about other people. And it's really about focusing in on the things that are innately you, the things that you can do to get better, and being able to celebrate with other people instead of being focused on that. And then the last thing I'll call out from the growth and fixed mindset is really being open to the new thing, right? The new thing, the new experiences versus being stuck in your old methods so much that you aren't growing. You just want to stay, fly under the radar. And you say it all the time, like if that's where you want to be,
mm-hmm.
you want to fly under the radar and you want to just do the thing, then that's fine. But if you are finding that you are looking for new challenges and you are looking for growth and you want to get better, then it's going to have to be, yes, I'm going to say yes to this opportunity, even though it feels uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Or yes, I'm going to have to build something or do something or create a solution to a problem, even though I don't feel like I want to. So just wanted to call it out because growth versus fixed mindset, I think a lot of times we're not aware of this concept and we're in those places like you referred to, and we don't realize that, why am I stagnant? Why am I stuck? Why am I in a mood? Why do I feel a little bit overwhelmed and I don't feel like I can produce or be productive?
Mm-hmm.
It could be because we're in that fixed mindset space.
Yep. Yeah, and those are things that we have to, that awareness of that space It's so important, and there's things that we have to do to get out of that space if one wants to get out of that space.
Yeah.
It may not, somebody else, it's not going to be, the Superman is not going to come to pull you out. It's like, it's like, you like that one?
I guess.
Not really. Because I think sometimes, like, even if we show up, we say, okay, maybe show up, wow, you know what? I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I had this long weekend. I got these personal things that's going on. I'm tired of this mundane task, this, that, and the other. Ooh, I'll be glad when this opportunity comes my way.
Yeah.
No one's going to just come and say, hey, you know what? Let me pull you out of this and let me invest all this time and effort and energy to make sure you're good. And you might have somebody that's going to be like, hey, you know what? Let me help you out. That may happen. That should happen if you talked about that circle before. You got that good circle. You got that good network. But the responsibility, once you can tap into that from within, the better. If you're showing up and say, hey, you know what? Wow, I'm showing up to work, leader, not leader, whatever the case may be, and I'm not in a good spot. So important for us to just take a moment to say, okay, let me think about really, why am I not in a good spot?
Yeah.
How did I start my day? Did I get up? Did I get up early enough? Or did I just kind of roll out and just move on? Did I take a moment to meditate or pray or have that moment of gratitude or work out? Those things that I know work to my advantage? No, I didn't. Did I have my cup of coffee in the morning because I like that cup of coffee? No, I didn't. Well, why not? Did I drink some water in the morning? Whatever the case may be, but being aware and just taking those steps to make sure that we're not lingering in that spot that's not working to our advantage, if that's a spot that we don't want to stay in.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of it too is us picking up what other people are putting down.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm challenging myself with my mindset on is Mondays, right? And so I really want to get out of the mindset of thinking about working for the weekend.
Yeah.
Mondays are terrible moments. Fridays are the best days of the week, right? Especially at 5 o'clock, right? And so what my challenge is to think about how I speak about Monday and to change my mindset to think about Monday as a new beginning.
Yeah.
Still working on it.
Mondays get so disrespected.
Mondays get roasted.
Mondays is like, that's another podcast. Let's talk about how Mondays just get disrespected.
Right.
Y'all better put some respect on Mondays though. Like,
I'm trying to. I am definitely trying to do that. And it's that awareness where it's like, you are constantly getting the gifts and the memes about how terrible Monday is. People are saying it when you get on the call. And then I'm starting to say, you know what, Mondays still are there. It's terrible, right? And so now I'm starting to move it towards it's a new beginning. And so I'm redirecting my thoughts, my energy, how I'm expressing Mondays. But it could also be seeds that are planted not just by the folks that you're around, your circle. It could be something in TV, right? And so if I'm watching, for me, I can't watch the news in the morning. Mike always tells me to watch the news. You got to know what it is. But I'm like, if it's important, you will tell me. But protecting your mental space and really thinking about, okay, so is this going to put me in a bad mindset where I am stuck? I feel like I can't be the best person that I can be. Or is this going to put me in the best mindset? Food, right? And so if you know me, you know I'm serious about my food. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
gotta have it.
I don't like
have it.
I don't like to be hungry. And
Eat.
if I don't have the food, then the rest of me can't. And I think we're touching on self-care, but the rest of me can't perform, can't produce, and my mindset is stuck. And it's like I don't care about anything else. I want to eat.
I'm talking, let's go to the restaurant before they ask you, would you like some water? Say, hey, can we put an appetizer in first?
So it's an awareness I have. It's awareness you have from being with me, but it's definitely something that we got to make sure that we are feeding ourselves, not just physically, but feeding ourselves with the things that's going to put us in the right mindset. So not just starting your day that way, but being very careful of who you're engaging with, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're digesting, because all those things can impact your mindset and push you into that. Maybe you started with a growth mindset and then you started to ingest this negativity, and then it pushed you into that fixed mindset.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So with that, with the fixed mindset, what are some other things we could do to like identify if that's where we are? Because I think we all get there. We all get there depending on the moment, depending on the thing, where it's like, okay, wow, you look back and say, wow, I really had a fixed mindset about these things. What are some of the other things that we should be aware of to say, wow, we may be in a fixed mindset? What's some things that we can look out for to say, yep, that's definitely fixed? I think you said about the monies was a good one. What's another one?
So I think that another thing to be careful of is the imposter syndrome. So if you're not aware of the imposter syndrome, it's just as it sounds. You have entered into a new arena, a new opportunity, a new thing, a new job, a new relationship, and you are telling yourself that maybe I don't deserve this, maybe I'm not worthy, and you're constantly operating in a space of fear that you will be found out as an imposter. And so, which is where the term imposter syndrome comes from. And really it is that you believe that you're going to make a mistake and you're going to be exposed so much so that you're going to live in that fixed mindset space. And then it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. Now you're thinking that you're going to fail and then you do fail, all because you had that mindset. So I would definitely say, and you've all probably heard me say this 100 times at this point, know that when you're in spaces, you're in those spaces for a reason. Believe that you're in those spaces for a reason, right? And so really just moving past the fact that you can't fail and can't make a mistake, especially in new environments, and really embracing the fact that, yes, I will fail, but what's my bounce back game, right? We talked about resilience quite a bit.
Right.
But what's my bounce back game when this thing doesn't go well? And how can I leverage the people around me so that I'm making sure that I'm moving more into that growth space? So the imposter syndrome, be aware of it. If you are feeling out of sorts, out of water, uncomfortable, examine yourself. Is this a new project? Is this a new thing? And then call it out and then do the things that you need to do to get your mindset in check so that you can bounce back from those feelings of not being enough.
Yeah. That, and another, in addition to that, another thing is to think about that self-assessment. Am I not putting myself out there for certain opportunities? Like you said, that imposter syndrome. We could look past that and say, you know what, I have what it takes in order to get the thing done. And that may come with not having the experience that you think you have to have, not having the knowledge or understanding of the thing that you think you need to have, but knowing that what you bring to the table, who you are, how you wired, your experiences, your ability to grow, you can still accomplish some great things with that. And then I think I love when you said it, as far as that failure. Like it's okay for something to go in a way that it wasn't planned to go. That's how you build character, and that's how you grow in that. And one of the things that, me, for something I've dealt with, especially with like writing some of these papers, is that procrastination. It's like that procrastination. It's like we'll say that for another one too, but putting off something that you definitely need to do. And there's different layers behind that, because as you look at that, you start to wonder, well, is it really that important? If it's worth holding off, am I going? If it's worth it not doing right now, is it worth it at all? And then kind of like really thinking about, why am I putting off something that provides value? So being aware of things like, procrastination, like you said, not feeling worthy that you're able to occupy a space, but really just examining yourself and say, okay, well, why am I this way? Why am I accepting this particular outcome? Why am I not intentionally doing some things about it? Am I comfortable or am I not comfortable? That's another thing too. Say, hey, let me see if I'm too comfortable or too complacent. Those are things but it goes back to, like we keep talking about that self-awareness and that self-assessment.
Yeah, and so when I reassess moments where I fell into the imposter syndrome or I felt like I wasn't enough, it boils down to two things. One, I like to know what I'm doing. I like to know what I'm talking about. And when I don't, and I'm new in spaces, I take a step back because I want to learn as much as possible. So while I'm absorbing information, I'm very aware that I don't know the information and that I can't pivot, I can't think, I can't move forward. And so that'll mess with your head if you're more comfortable in spaces of knowing what you're doing, being confident.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I think kind of held me back. Another thing was thinking that every other person and human being attached to the project or the role knew it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, well, if they don't make mistakes and they know everything and everything is great and perfect, then I don't want to expose myself by asking for help. I don't want to expose myself by saying I don't know the thing, which you should know the thing if you're new to an environment, right? And so I had to really think about my internal monologue and what I was telling myself and work to the flip side of it to start embracing the fact that, yeah, it's my first day on the job. I don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
6 months from now, I might have it 50%, but I still might not know how to do it 100%. Yeah. And then going back to your journey will never be about other people, not focusing on where they are, because everybody makes mistakes in their own way, mm-hmm. right? Even the most seasoned and most experienced people make mistakes. And that's a very human and natural thing to do. And so to your point, that self-assessment, I would definitely say go back to moments where you felt out of sorts, you felt out of water, you felt like you weren't good enough, and think about what were those things that were happening around you that made you feel that way, so that you can be aware of those emotional triggers, so that when you get in new environments in the future, instead of defaulting to that fixed mindset or the imposter syndrome, you're thinking about, okay, so what are the positive things I can do in this moment so that I can grow?
Yes, and taking control of that space. Take control of that space. Mm-hmm. So with you dropping your quotes, so mine is to tap into the vision. Mm-hmm. It all goes back to what it is that we're looking to accomplish. Are we okay with the way things are, or we're not? We've been on this fitness journey for years, right? We've been on our fitness journey. There's been times where we've been heavily into growth mindset, as far as trying new things, trying different gym memberships, trying new exercises, different pieces of equipment, changing the diet out, trying new recipes and that sort of thing, be willing to grow. And also times where we've been in that fixed space. It's like, for this moment, it's what it is.
Time to eat.
It's time to go without repercussions. Like, let's go with whatever. But that was a fixed mindset that was contrary to what those goals are. Mm-hmm. So what we had to do, we had to stop and say, wait a second, the goal is this, but what we're doing is conflicting with what the goal is. Mm-hmm. So we had to check ourselves in that moment to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So it's a formula that we can apply across the board, but it goes back to being aware of where we are, mm-hmm. and making sure that you're investing in getting out of that space.
Yeah, and so what are some things you feel help you get out of that space? So let's say you find yourself in a funk, you're starting to have negative thoughts, you feel like it's not worth it, you want to give up. What are some things that you do to challenge your mindset back into that growth mindset space?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that you have to go back to the why behind it and really dig into why it's important. Mm-hmm. That's key now. So even right now, we've talked about this. I'm finishing up my my master's right now, and there's times where I don't feel like it. Yeah. I don't feel like doing the paper in that moment. It's not all the time. I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me roll with this. Let me knock this out. I don't feel like writing the paper. Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay to have those real moments. But then what gets me motivated is looking at the goal and why I'm doing it.
The end game.
The end game. It's like, okay, cool. This, where I am now versus having it, works better to have it. Mm-hmm. For you, it's like, hey, give you something I'm proud of. Mm-hmm. For our son, give him something to look forward to. How I could leverage some of the information and apply it and to share it with others. That's all a part of the why. Mm-hmm. Even the fact that I will get closer to the finish line, that's all a part of the why. Those are the goals, because I've already made my mind up that I am going to finish it. So when that moment is like, I don't feel like doing it right now, when I look at those goals, so now I'm arming myself with those things that are going to push me towards accomplishing it, I'm more likely to do it, because now I'm stopping thinking about what it is that I'm looking to accomplish. So that's the main thing for me. It's like, let me pause, let me see where I am, let me see what the goal is. If I continue down this path, is it going to help me or hurt me? If it's going to hurt me, okay, in what ways is it going to hurt me? Okay, cool. Am I willing to accept that? Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll not do some work for a while. If I need to change it, and if I change it, is that going to help me? Yep, that's going to help me accomplish my goals, and that's something I'm willing to accomplish.
Hmm.
Willing to accept, rather.
I think for me, the internal monologue piece is huge because it's the thing that it's not as easy for a lot of people to turn off, or I like to call it change the channel, right? And so sometimes you'll have these negative thoughts and you don't even realize you're having them. But then I heard someone say a while back, is if your best friend said the things to you that you say to yourself, would you still be friends? Probably not. Good chance is you'll say, you know what, I'm all set.
Right.
You do you, right? And you'll part ways. But then we have these conversations with ourselves when we make a mistake. Oh my gosh, that was stupid. I'm an idiot. I'm not good enough. I'm going to be judged by this. And then those insecurities start to build because we have fed the idea that we are that imposter. And so really being aware of your internal monologue, and when you are, this is a very controversial quote because people say it differently, but when you are finding yourself challenged by a thought, nip it in the bud. B-U-D. Not B-U-T-T, like some people say. Yeah. So you nip it in the bud and you make sure that you are changing that channel, are thinking more positively, are doing the things that are necessarily for you to be able to think positively. We talked about self-care, eating, sleeping, those types of things. But also there's lots of great things you can do, like a nice positive podcast, that type of thing. Reading books that you find to be helpful. Meditation, a lot of times is helpful. I like to practice mindfulness. And if you're not familiar with mindfulness, it's really about being present in the moment. You talked about breathing, so breathing exercises, and just really focus on the thing that's in front of you. Because if I start to think about all the things that I have ahead of me, then it negatively impacts my mindset. If I wake up in the morning and I say, you know what? It's Monday. Oh God, it's Monday. And I'm complaining about that. And then I see that I have 15 meetings back to back on my calendar. And then I'm starting to be upset about that. And I'm like, dang, Mike didn't take out the garbage. Oh, what's up with that? I'm starting to binge on things that are going to put me in a bad space. And then if I don't eat breakfast, it's just World War II. Right? And so really just being cognizant of how you start is how you finish. What are the things that you're starting your day with? What are the things that you're thinking about? What are the things that you're meditating on? What are the things that you're focusing on? And when that doesn't align with your goals, as you said, changing the channel. And if it's not that easy for you to change the channel, because it does take practice, finding tools and resources to help you change the channel. Yeah.
And change the channel, and that goes along with controlling your environment. So if it's working out, depending on the mood I'm in, I may work out. It may be some soul R&B, it may be some rap, it may be some type of random sound, and I might that puts me in a space. And then I have to say, you know what, I really don't want to work out, but I really want to watch this show. And at the end of the day, I want to do both. So maybe first to start my workout, I'm going to get on the treadmill, go to put the show on while I'm working out, and that'll get me going. And then I'm going to go to my music to get it going. If it's if you talk about the Mondays and you're driving somewhere and you're like, wow, it sucks to get caught in this traffic like this. All right, maybe control that environment where you're not leaving out at the same time. Take the effort to leave out a little bit earlier to avoid as much of that as possible. Maybe take the street, not take the freeway. Change those things up. So, but there's definitely things that we can do in order to get out of that space. But we definitely want to make sure that we're tapping into that growth mindset as much as possible.
Yeah, and then control what you can control. Because I realized that with the pandemic, and not being able to control the fact that, yes, we are in the state of the world that we're in, I had no control. No one did, right? You couldn't control whether you got in your car and drove to the store half of the time. And so it was really that moment of control what you can control and be okay with it. And so I found that I had to do a lot of mental work and prayer and refocusing in order to exist in 2020 in general.
Right.
And so control what you can't control, let go and realize that that's not within your power. So yeah, I would just add that to that.
I love it. Mm-hmm. So you tap into that growth mindset? That's what you're about?
I tap into it every day, right? It's not something that you can just say, you know what, I have a growth mindset and live there without doing the work, which I think a lot of times people don't really understand that it's doing the work. And it's just the simplest things sometimes that we phrase, right? Like, oh, crap, is Monday versus, oh, this is a new beginning, right? Saying those things out loud, being able to really feel those things and really move into that direction, I think is super helpful. But you gotta do the work. It's so important. And it's not, sometimes it's easier said than done, depending on, if there's a trauma around us or there's a very difficult situation that we're trying to overcome. That's not always easy to focus only on your mindset and being in the right mindset that can help you to be the most productive. So you'll definitely have to figure out what your resources are and the things that you need, the support system that you need for those tougher things. But just in your day-to-day, how are you building and strengthening your mindset so that when those tougher things happen, that you're able to navigate? So I would definitely add that as well.
That's good. That's good. So growth mindset, fixed mindset. Are you leaning to that opportunity? Give yourself a chance to fail. Give yourself a chance to fail. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Be aware. Self-assess. Know where you at. If it's that Monday, check yourself about why you look at something the way you do on a Monday. Be aware and see if, hey, you're in a fixed mindset. Do what you got to do to get out of that. You're looking to go forth with that growth mindset. Do what you got to do. Like you mentioned, you got to put in the work to be able to sustain in that growth mindset. So what we want to do, you all, we want to hear from you. Like, what do you do when you find yourself in that fixed space? What do you do to get out of it? To get into that growth mindset and to stay there, what are you doing to invest in that? And again, when it comes to what we want to do personally, when it comes to what we want to do on a professional scale, depending on what those goals are, tapping into that growth mindset can really set us up for success. This was a good show today.
Great show today.
All right, well, look, this is
Keisha Woods.
I'm Mike Woods. This is the Woods Collab podcast. Like, subscribe, share with your personal, your professional development, and want to hear back from you. Until next time, we out.